Plain X-ray of abdomen. Multiple air fluid levels. This is a straight X-ray of abdomen with lower part of chest and upper part of pelvis taken in erect posture showing multiple air fluid levels. The distended gut loops are situated in the central part of the abdomen and are arranged in a step-ladder fashion. The upper loops are showing presence of valvulae connivens which are closely packed and complete, suggesting these to be distended jejunal loops. The distended gut loops in right iliac fossa region do not show presence of any valvulae connivens and appear as characterless, suggesting these to be distended ileal loops. This appearance is suggestive of acute small bowel obstruction. Similar X-ray as in figure 17.4 showing multiple air fluid levels. The gas-filled intestinal loops are central in location, arranged in a stepladder fashion. Most of the distended loops do not valvulae connivens and appear characterless, suggesting these to be distended ileal loops. This appearance is suggestive of acute small bowel obstruction. Similar X-ray, showing multiple air fluid levels. The air fluid-filled loops are central in location, arranged in a stepladder pattern. Note the characterless appearance, absence of valvulae connivens, suggesting these to be ileal loops. What is the diagnosis? This is likely to be a X-ray of patient with small bowel obstruction. Why do you say these gas-filled loops are jejunal loops? These gas-filled intestinal loops are likely to be jejunal loops because of following characteristics. These gas-filled loops are centrally located in the abdomen. They are arranged in a stepladder pattern. There are closely packed valvulae connivens indicated by white lines in the gas-filled gut. What are the characteristics of gas-filled ileal loops? These are also central in location and may have stepladder pattern of arrangement. But the valvulae connivens, if present, are very sparse and incomplete. The gas-filled ileal loops are typically described as characterless. What are the characteristics of colonic gas shadows? The characteristics of colonic gas shadows are: the colonic gas shadows are situated more peripherally. There are haustration in the walls. These are incomplete mucosa folds in the walls placed at different levels. Which X-ray is important for evaluation of patient with acute intestinal obstruction? A supine abdominal film gives better delineation of the gas-filled gut loop, and an erect film is not required routinely. How many fluid levels in abdomen X-ray may be regarded as normal? In adults, 2 inconstant fluid levels, one at duodenal cap, another at terminal ileum, may be regarded as normal. In infants, few fluid levels, 2 to 4, in small gut may be regarded as normal. What are the important causes of small intestinal obstructions? Causes in the wall of the intestine: inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's and tuberculosis causing fibrous stricture in the wall. Fibrous stricture in the wall secondary to trauma, ischemia, radiation or intussusception, neoplastic lesion, benign or malignant tumors in the intestine. Cassuzas in the lumen of the intestine, bezos, gallstones, worms or foreign body. Causes outside the wall of the intestine: postoperative adhesions or bands, hernias, internal volvulus, intussusception, infiltration by adjacent malignant lesions. What is the commonest cause of small bowel obstruction? Adhesion and bands are the commonest cause of small bowel obstruction. How postoperative adhesions are formed? Peritoneal injury may occur following operation, bacterial peritonitis, radiation, ischemic injury, foreign bodies or some chemicals. The peritoneal injury results in formation of an inflammatory exudates in the peritoneum. These inflammatory exudates contain strands of fibrin. This fibrinous exudates gets organized and there is invasion of fibroblast. These fibroblasts lays down collagen, which results in formation of permanent fibrous tissue. However, the peritoneum possesses some fibrinolytic activity, which if not impaired may lyse the fibrin in the inflammatory exudates before organization and fibrosis takes place. The fibrinolytic activity of the peritoneum is impaired by peritoneal injury. How will you prevent intra-abdominal adhesions? Good surgical technique. Minimize peritoneal injury by gentle handling, use of traumatic instruments and achieve good hemostasis. Pharmacological agents. Various agents has been used. Ringer's solution, hyaluronidase, dextran, anticoagulants, streptokinase. However, the exact role of these substances has not been substantiated. Following newer substances has been used with variable success for preventing adhesion: Intercrete, oxidized regenerated cellulose, Adept, 4% icodextran, expanded PTFE, polytetrafluoroethylene, membrane, Ceprafilm. What are the usual presentation of patient with acute intestinal obstruction? The cardinal symptom of acute intestinal obstruction are abdominal pain, colicky abdominal pain, coinciding with the waves of peristalsis. Vomiting, more marked with proximal obstruction, less frequent but feculent in distal obstruction. Abdominal distension, the distension is more marked in distal obstruction than in proximal obstruction. Absolute constipation, no passage of flatus and feces. Some patients may pass flatus or feces at the onset of obstruction due to evacuation of the contents of the bowel distal to the point of obstruction. However, constipation may not be a feature in following situations: Richter's hernia, gallstone, ileus intestinal obstruction associated with pelvic abscess, subacute intestinal obstruction. Which factors are responsible for distension of gut proximal to the site of obstruction? The distension is produced by mainly two factors. Gas, swallowed air is mainly responsible for the distension. The main gas causing distension is nitrogen, as the oxygen and carbon dioxide gets absorbed. There is overgrowth of both aerobic and anaerobic bacteria, which results in significant production of gas due to fermentation of the intestinal contents. Fluid. Consequent to obstruction, there is accumulation of fluid in the lumen of the gut. About 8 to 9 liters of fluid may be sequestrated in the lumen of the gut. Third, space loss. There is excessive secretion from the wall of the gut, and the absorption of fluid from the lumen is also retarded. How the fluid and electrolyte deficits are caused. The fluid and electrolyte deficits are caused by vomiting, reduced oral intake, defective absorption, sequestration of fluid in the lumen of gut. What are the volumes of different GI secretions? Saliva, 1 to 1.5 liters. Gastric juice, 1.5 to 2.5 liters. Bile, 1 liter. Pancreatic juice, 1.5 liters. Small intestinal juice, 3 liters. How will you evaluate a patient with acute small intestinal obstruction? Clinical evaluation by history and physical examination. Details history about the abdominal pain, vomiting, abdominal distension and obstipation. Any history of previous abdominal surgery. Any history of gallstone disease, inflammatory bowel disease, any intra-abdominal malignant disease. Any coexisting medical disease, hypertension, IHD, diabetes mellitus, respiratory disease. On examination on general survey, features of shock, tachycardia, dehydration, hypotension, measurement of fever, toxemia, signifies underlying strangulation of gut. On abdominal examination, abdominal distension, visible peristalsis. There may be tenderness all over abdomen. If rebound tenderness is present, it indicates underlying strangulation. Bowel sound may be increased in initial phase. Once strangulation sets in, abdomen may be silent. P. Our examination may reveal ballooning of rectum, finger may be smeared with blood or mucus. In case of pseudo-obstruction, fecal sibylla may be palpable. How will you manage this patient? After history and clinical examination, it is necessary to decide whether the patient has got an underlying strangulation of gut or not. If the patient has underlying strangulation of gut, then early surgery is indicated after resuscitation of the patient. What other investigations are required for patient with acute intestinal obstruction? BL for HB%, TLC, DLC and ESR. BL for sugar, urea and creatinine, serum electrolyte, Na, K, Cl and bicarbonate. Serum amylase and lipase to exclude acute pancreatitis. ECG, chest X-ray. What other imaging studies may be helpful? In cases with clinical evidence of underlying gut strangulation, no further imaging investigations are required and patient should be prepared for laparotomy. In cases with subacute obstruction, oral contrast studies with barium or a water-soluble contrast, gastrographin, is helpful to identify the site of obstruction, demonstrate an intraluminal foreign body, differentiate partial from complete obstruction. CT scan of abdomen is a very reliable investigation for evaluation of acute intestinal obstruction. Any mass in abdomen may descend well, tumor, inflammatory mass, abscess. Missed hernia may be diagnosed, may distinguish subacute obstruction from paralytic ileus. Ultrasonography is not a very reliable investigation for evaluation of intestinal obstruction as the distended gut interferes with USG examination. What do you mean by dynamic intestinal obstruction? When there is mechanical obstruction of a segment of gut, the proximal intestine tries to overcome the obstruction by vigorous peristalsis. This is called dynamic obstruction. What is adynamic obstruction? Paralytic ileus. In adynamic obstruction, the peristalsis is absent, resulting in non-propulsion of gut contents. In pseudo-obstruction, the peristalsis may be present in a non-propulsive form. What do you mean by strangulation obstruction? Intestinal obstruction with compromise of blood supply to the gut results in strangulating obstruction. The impairment of blood supply may be due to twisting of mesentery, volvulus, by massive distension of the bowel, which initially results in impairment of venous drainage causing venous congestion and subsequent impairment of arterial supply resulting in gut infarction. External compression of the vessels due to hernia or adhesion bands. Primary obstruction of the mesenteric circulation, mesenteric vascular thrombosis. What are the pathophysiological changes in strangulation obstruction? As the gut distends or there is compression of vessels, the venous return is compromised first. The increased capillary pressure in the gut wall results in extravasation of intravascular fluid and blood elements in the wall of the gut, in the lumen and outside the lumen of the gut. Subsequently, arterial occlusion sets in, resulting in hemorrhagic infarction of the gut. There is translocation of bacteria and toxin through the wall of the gut into the systemic circulation. When there is massive loss of blood and the resultant toxemia may cause peripheral circulatory failure. What are the features of strangulation obstruction? The pain, which was colicky, becomes continuous. Fever and toxemia. Features of shock, tachycardia and hypotension. Abdominal tenderness, muscle guard and rebound tenderness. A strangulated hernia is suggested by irreducibility, tense and tender swelling, no impulse on cough. There may be rebound tenderness, leukocytosis. What do you mean by closed loop obstruction? A short segment of bowel is obstructed at a proximal and a distal point, usually due to internal volvulus or by a tight ring at the hernial neck. The obstructed segment of the gut becomes hugely dilated and may result in strangulation or perforation before the proximal gut distension occurs. How will you treat patients with acute intestinal obstruction? It is necessary to differentiate between simple obstruction and strangulation obstruction. In strangulation obstruction, resuscitation followed by early exploratory laparotomy. In simple obstruction, the treatment is initially conservative. Resuscitation and monitoring of patient. Surgery is required when the conservative treatment fails. How will you resuscitate the patient? Intravenous fluid, to correct the fluid and electrolyte deficit. Normal saline or Ringer's solution infusion. Nasogastric aspiration. Prophylactic antibiotics. Foley's catheterization to monitor urine output. Monitoring of patient. Symptomatic improvement, diminution of pain, vomiting, abdominal distension. Passage of flatus and stool. Observe the pulse, blood pressure, respiration, temperature and urinary output. What are the indications of surgery in acute intestinal obstruction? Strangulation obstruction. Failure of conservative treatment in simple obstruction. When diagnosis is in doubt. What operation you will do in this patient? I will do exploratory laparotomy. The cause of the obstruction diagnosed and dealt with accordingly. The distended bowel is to be decompressed. Assess the viability of the gut and if gangrenous, resection and anastomosis. How will you diagnose the site of obstruction on exploration? Palpate the scum. If scum is collapsed, the obstruction is in the small intestine. If the scum is dilated, the obstruction is in the distal large gut. Follow a collapsed segment of the gut from distal to the proximal end. The junction of the collapsed segment and dilated segment of the gut is the site of obstruction. In large gut obstruction, when the scum is dilated, the obstruction lies distally. Palpate the sigmoid colon. If the sigmoid colon is collapsed, the obstruction is proximal to the sigmoid colon. If the sigmoid colon is also distended, the obstruction is in the rectum. While doing exploratory laparotomy, how will you ascertain the proximal and the distal small gut? A loop of small bowel is held in the long axis of the body. A finger is passed deeply along the left side of the mesentery. If the finger is guided to the left iliac fossa or to the left side of the vertebra, the proximal end of the loop lies toward the thorax. If the finger is guided toward the right iliac fossa or to the right of the vertebral body, then the loop is inverted and the proximal end of the gut lies toward the foot end. How will you differentiate a viable and non-viable segment of gut? An obviously black, flaccid segment of gut is gangrenous and there will be no pulsation in the vessels in the mesentery. When the gut is having doubtful viability with slight color change with very poor peristaltic wave and doubtful arterial pulsation, then the segment of gut is covered with a hot moist pack and anesthetist is asked to give the patient 100% oxygen for about 10 minutes and the gut is reviewed. If the color becomes pink, the peristalsis returns and the arterial pulsation returns, then that segment will be viable. In doubtful cases, color Doppler study may demonstrate the blood flow and injection of intravenous fluorescent dye may help. The viable segment of the gut will fluoresce as purple. How will you decompress the dilated segment of the gut? The best way of decompression is retrograde decompression. The distended gut loop is milked off towards the proximal segment, bringing the contents towards the stomach, which is then aspirated by using a wide bore nasogastric tube. Alternatively, the decompression may be done by an enterotomy and using a Savage's decompressor, but the risk of contamination is very high. Large gut decompression may be done by inserting a needle obliquely through the tinea coli and suction under low pressure. The site of the needle puncture should be oversewn with a seromuscular suture using 3:0 polyglactin.